Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Shuri, and according to my Letterboxd, I watched 181 films in 2024. Here are my top, I don't even know, 25, I guess, and I'm gonna talk about them pretty quickly, maybe until we get to like the top one or two. There's not gonna be any particular order. I'm probably gonna start with some really random films. We're gonna start randomly. I should have like separated by month. That would have been smarter, but I'm chaotic when it comes to that. So I just literally started listing films. So we're just gonna go through my list, and I kind of have a top 10, but also, I don't know, the top 10 can shift. So these are basically the movies that stayed with me, or that when I was looking through my list, I was like, oh, that was a really good movie that people need to know about, or that would make it onto a list of mine. So the first list, I'm just gonna start from the bottom and work my way up. The first movie is this movie called Monster. It's about these two young boys and their friendship, and one of them starts acting kind of weird, and get the different perspectives from each person that's kind of involved, and they're trying to figure out why this boy starts to act a little bit weird, as they say. But it is a Japanese film, and I actually thought it was quite beautiful to watch something like that on screen. The next movie is called The Promised Land. That one I actually didn't really think that I would like. My friend wanted to watch it, and I was like, the trailer looks good, but it's funny because that movie, it's very much a period piece, and it literally is so slow, but bitch, I was engaged. I was engaged in that film, and that's kind of what I like, especially if it's like a movie's really slow and there's not like a lot of things happening, but to keep you engaged for that long, I think that's amazing. The next movie, or it's two documentaries actually. There's 3 documentaries only on this list this year. Maestra, which is about female maestras, like conductors, and they're in this competition, and it's like it's a very high level competition, and we just follow them. It's really interesting. Also watched Satisfied, which Satisfied definitely was going to end up on this list. It's literally a documentary about Renee Ellis Goldsberry, and we all know that I love Renee Ellis Goldsberry, and I saw it as part of, I think, Tribeca, I want to say. That was the only thing I saw from that film festival. I loved the documentary, and I love seeing her balance like being a mom and being an amazing actress on Broadway, and getting the call and getting the role for Hamilton, and how that like kind of changed her life, and how she didn't even want to go to the audition. And I just love the story of that, and we all know I love Hamilton, so she's my favorite character, she's my favorite person, and I could not pass up the opportunity to watch that documentary. The last documentary I really like this year is called Blink. I think it's on like Disney Plus now, because it's like a National Geographic one, but it's about these kids and their family and their parents, and they all, I think it's 4 kids, 3 out of the 4 have I don't know what it's called, but it's where your eyesight will slowly start to deteriorate, and they'll go from like this to like a straw, basically, over time, and that's that level of vision. And so their parents, it's really beautiful because their parents were like, there's nothing we can do to stop this. Like the doctors are like, there's literally nothing you can do, it's gonna happen. And so their parents are like, as a parent, obviously they want to fix it and they want to help in any way they can. And so someone told them, allow your kids to see as much beauty in the world and have as much like visual things as possible, because at least then they'll have like the memories of that. And so basically they travel around the world for a full year with their kids, these 2 parents. I think it's 4 kids, and it's a beautiful story. It makes you really appreciate the things you do have, and like just them traveling. It's amazing. Like I was like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't think I would like it as much, but I absolutely loved it. I think those were the only documentaries that I really like this year. Another movie I love is called Humanist. It's a long title, so I need to read it. Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. It's literally just this like, I think it's French like film, and it's about this young girl, and she's a vampire, and she doesn't want to drink like human blood. She doesn't want to suck blood from anybody. So she's seeking, like, she doesn't want to kill to do that. And she's like, so she's seeking somebody who wants to get their blood sucked so that they will die. Creates this relationship with like this boy, and it's very sweet. The film is very funny, it's very cute, and I really like. I saw that on 4th of July. Good day. I also love Didi. I think that film takes place during a very specific time, and it made me very nostalgic for a very specific time in my life, and I think it does it very, very well. Obviously I loved Alien Romulus. I think I saw it twice. I also watched like the Alien movies this year, and I will say I don't necessarily think it makes sense in the timeline or like as an Alien movie, but I think as like an action sci-fi movie but like that came out this past year, I think it was fun and honestly quite awesome. It's hard for me to say I like this movie or to critique it in any way, but the movie Blink Twice, Zoe Kravitz's first movie that she directed, that is a tough movie to watch, but I will say it had me on the edge of my seat, and once you figure out like what the fuck is going on, it gets even harder to watch. But as somebody's like first directorial debut of a film, I actually liked it way more than I thought I would. I heard that a lot of people's screenings had trigger warnings. Unfortunately, my screening did not have a trigger warning, and I am not sure if I would have stayed if I would have known the trigger warning, but I am glad that I watched it. I don't know, like I said, like I wouldn't know how to navigate if I would have seen the trigger warning and been like, I actually can't watch this, or if I would have still given it a chance. I obviously survived it, but it definitely was a triggering movie. It was a lot, and it was also, in my opinion, very fucking smart. And I actually really like the ending. I think that I heard there's a lot of controversy about the ending, but I loved the ending. Randomly, I also watched Fall Guy for the first time. I do think that came out this past year. Let me double check. It did come out in this past year, the Fall Guy. I remember when that was in theaters and I was like, I don't want to watch this. That looks stupid. That looks so stupid. But not gonna lie, I watched it at home and it was actually really good. It's a romance, it's a action movie. I was like very impressed by Ryan Gosling and by Emily Blunt, and I feel like the cool thing about that movie is like it's all about the stunts department, and it's like, damn, stunts are so fucking cool. Like stunts are so cool, and the way that it feels like a grand scale movie, even though it's like kind of silly and goofy in some parts, but it's like, what a fun time. What a fun time they must have had filming that movie. There's no way they didn't. There's no way they didn't. And it made me feel like, wow, making movies sounds awesome. Like it made it seem so cool. And like I said, stunts is fucking cool. Like I don't make movies. It's like that movie is like a ode to the love of filmmaking, making the movies in the stunts department, and I absolutely love that. I also watched this movie called Kill. If you like violence, bloody violence, watch that movie. It's about this guy. It's one of the saddest, most violent movies I think I've ever seen, and I like the movie The Raid, if you've seen anything like that, and I wanted to watch Kill because it's kind of reminiscent of The Raid a little bit, but yes and no. But there is basically this guy, and he's like part of the military. Him and his friend, they are trying to get on a train because the girl that he is in love with is getting married to somebody else, and they plan to meet in another like city or whatever. So they all get on the train, like the girl and him, and it's, you know, separately though, and a group of bandits, I guess, come onto the train, and things get very bad very, very quickly, and it's sad. But that movie, I don't think I could give it any less than 5 stars. Like, it's crazy. It's a crazy fucking movie, but it kept me engaged. There was only like 2 theaters playing it. That movie is wild and sad, and whew, a lot. It was a lot, but it was great. I love this movie called We Grown Now. I feel like the movies like on this first part are movies that are not super well known. Some of them are, like Blink Twice and whatnot, but some of them are not. So this other movie I watched called We Grown Now, they were only playing it at Film Forum, and it's about like these 2 young boys, and these 2 young black boys, and their friendship, and not that they kind of grow apart a little bit, but also one of them has to leave eventually, and their friendship is just so interesting and beautiful to see that kind of like youth and just the imagination. And it was it was really good. It made me very emotional. I saw it with a coworker of mine that I had never watched a movie with before, and she was like, can I go with you? I was like, sure. And she also really loved the movie, and it's really great. I think my Letterboxd review for that said, this might be one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. And I still stand by that. I also watched this movie called Scrambled, and I feel like it's not going to be on anybody's lists, and that's okay. But I feel like that it's like, people were saying it's like the most millennial movie, and it is. It's about this young girl who makes the decision to freeze her eggs. And I just don't think we have enough movies or people talking about the process of that and the decisions you have to make when you are in your 30s and you are not partnered or coupled. You do want to have a child, but there aren't as many options for you, and the amount that it costs to freeze your eggs and the emotional toll and physical toll it takes on you to prepare your body to freeze your eggs. It's hard because, you know, she sees all her friends are getting married, they're having kids, and she's just trying to fucking figure it out. And I related to that movie a lot. And I just thought it was like, if you're a millennial woman in your 30s, like, that movie is for you. Not about, and it's not even about like, oh, if you want to have kids, you want to freeze your eggs. Like, no, I'm not freezing my eggs, and I'm not thinking about having kids right at this moment, but it's definitely very personal and a decision that I think a lot of women do want to think about or have to think about. And in this America, you know, it's getting even scarier. So I just think that movie, you know, it's one of those movies that came out in like January. Nobody watched it. Didn't do that well, I don't think. But I think it's for a very specific audience, and that audience was me. And I'm happy about that. I personally really loved it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was heartfelt. I thought it was heartbreaking. I thought it was triumphant, and I kind of love movies like that. We don't talk about that enough as women and the decisions that we have to make about our bodies. So yeah, Scrambled. Watch it if you can stream it. I don't know, I loved it. Okay, we're getting like to the top now. Okay, so the movies that I have at the top are gonna be much more noticed, like much more like people, a lot of people have seen them. And because, I mean, for a good reason, they are good. So I also watched a movie called His Three Daughters. It's a Netflix movie, so it was on Netflix, but I saw it in theater because we played it. And, you know, it's basically 3 women and they have to take care of their dying father. And it's such an emotional movie. The 3 actresses, fucking phenomenal. Like, I don't understand where the nominations for them aren't. Like, where are they? Like, where is the nomination for Natasha Lyonne? Like, where is the nomination for everybody in that movie? All 3 women in that movie were great. And I feel like I'm happy that Elizabeth Olsen is like back in like indie films. But there's a scene at the end where I don't think I cried like for most of the movie, but there's a scene at the end where something happens and I could feel, it's very weird when I explain this, I could feel a wave of emotion come over me, and I just broke down. Like, I couldn't even help it. I wasn't like I'm like wiping my eyes. No, I felt grief like a wave that I had never felt before. And that was scary because it felt very personal, and it was the most intense thing I have felt grief wise. And I know, based on the subject matter of that movie, one day I will have to feel that grief in real life, and that is very scary to think about. But besides that, like, the actresses were amazing, the performances amazing, just the emotion amazing. Great film, great film. Of course, we can just talk about Anora because everybody's talking about Anora. Not in my top 10, but I did like the movie. The reason I think I liked it is because I refused to watch Sean Baker's last movie, Red Rocket. We don't need to get into the reasons why. And so I had really low expectations for Anora. Like, I obviously wanted to watch it because it was hyped up. I oddly, secretly enjoy things about sex workers. I think it's a lifestyle that I do not lead. So I'm very interested in getting to know people in that field. But the problems with Anora and how she's the titular character, but we don't actually know that much about her. So there were problems with the film. I think my initial reaction, like after watching, I think I did give it 5 stars, but that's because I had such low expectations that I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I would. So she's on the list, Anora. Okay, so now we're getting to the top 10. I have a ranking, but the ranking could change. Like, I feel like that's kind of like what's gonna happen, but The Substance, Demi won the Golden Globe, and that makes me so happy because I love Demi so much. Like, watching The Substance, I felt like, you know, people ask me, oh, do you like it? And I'm like, okay, well, it's a bit on the nose, which that's fine. I felt like I couldn't give it anything less than 5 stars based on like what it does and how far it goes. And I felt like Demi, like, I forget she's an actress, okay? And she leaned all the way in, and to see her in these like interviews and just talking about it, she looks fucking amazing. Her performance was fucking amazing. And I'm happy that she won the Golden Globe. Do I think she's gonna win the Oscar? I don't know, but I thought I had my problems with the movie, but they don't matter. Like, they don't matter because Demi was great, and I thought the way that it was executed was great and so different and really horrifying and pushed boundaries, and I really liked it a lot. We needed to move to a different location because I needed to be connected to where it plugs in because it doesn't have a very long cord, and it wasn't going to reach by the Christmas tree. So unfortunately, we are going to finish this video in front of my bed, which that's fine. We won't have the little lights, but that's okay. So next movie, Nickel Boys. I thought that, oh, also see, I have to leave in like 10 minutes because I'm gonna go watch The Brutalist. Speaking of movies, I read the book right before I saw the movie. I didn't finish the book before I saw the movie, but I read it and loved it. It's in my top books this year. That movie is experimentally beautiful. It is unlike anything I've ever seen before. The director takes us like deep in with these boys, and it's shot in first person, which is a little bit weird to get used to, but my God, when you do, I hate to use beautiful for a movie like that because of how heartbreaking the subject matter is, but I thought the movie was really beautiful just because of how experimental it was and how unlike anything that I've ever seen before. Loved it. Next movie, A Real Pain. I did not think, this might be in like my top, I don't know. I did not think that I would like that movie as much as I did. Because Jesse Eisenberg, like, he doesn't necessarily do it for me, but that's okay. I do love Kieran though, Kieran Culkin. Like, I don't watch Succession, but there's something about him that I'm like, I like this, I like it. I don't know what it is, but I like it. He's a little bit manic for me, but I do like him a lot. I think he's a great actor, and he also just won the Golden Globe last night. And I feel like that movie, A Real Pain, it's so honest. And you have these like 2 cousins who couldn't be more different, but are both wanting things that like the other person, like qualities that the other person has, but also are like deeply hurting in certain ways. And I think Kieran Culkin's character in that movie is, wow, a lot of us. I think we're a lot of both of the characters, but I think Kieran Culkin's character is a lot of people that I've seen before. The ending is very interesting to that film. I won't spoil it, but it left me thinking about it a lot, that whole film. So kudos to freaking Jesse Eisenberg. He wrote and directed it, and good job to him because it is actually a great film. Conclave, the cast is great. The score for that film, amazing. Okay, amazing. You would think that a movie about the Pope and about a conclave having to elect a new Pope would be boring AF. But when I tell you, it felt like I was watching Mean Girls. It is the most pettiest, cattiest, drama-filled movie I probably have seen this year, and like in a setting that you don't think about. It's political, it's just really good. I was like, oh, this is good. And it won Best Screenplay last night, Best Adapted, which makes me happy because I do want to read that. Again, this top list is not really in any order. Also, National Anthem. I feel like people stopped talking about this movie, but I absolutely loved it. It's about this guy who needs a job, and he ends up getting a job at this like farm. He gets very ingrained and like falls in love with one of the girls that's there. It's like such a beautiful movie, a beautiful story. It's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking, and I honestly loved it so much. So much. The ending is heartbreaking too. What's up with me liking all these heartbreaking movies? But I really liked that movie a lot, but it is, I would describe that movie as heartbreaking. But there's a song by Melissa Etheridge in that called I'm the Only One. Great fucking song. Sing Sing. Was that movie not gonna be on here? It's funny because I still think about that movie today, and I look back at my Letterboxd review and I realize I only gave it a 3.5 star. Like, I've rated other films higher, but it made it onto still my top films list and very close to the top, because there's just something about Coleman Domingo, and there's something about the lore and the lore of that film and how it's based on an article, it's real, and how a lot of the actors in that were playing themselves, so they had never actually been actors. How Coleman Domingo fought for pay equality, that every single person on that set got paid the same, every single person on that film got paid the same, which amazing. And I just feel like it's such an interesting story. We're really, you know, humanizing these people that I feel like oftentimes you look at somebody that's like incarcerated and you think like the worst of them, but like these people are like actors and they are trying to better their lives. And I just think it's like a really beautiful film. I love when I hear people say like I cried from the end to the beginning, and like I didn't cry the whole time, but I definitely was emotional at the end. There's one like kind of monologue that Coleman has to do, and it's just like, he's like, what is this all for? Like, oh, there's some scenes in that are heartbreaking, but that movie is really, really great. This one is so random to me, but it's this movie called Wildcat. Okay, it's Ethan Hawke's movie. I don't know what it is. That movie is weird. It's a little bit racist. It's about Flannery O'Connor. I didn't think a movie about Flannery O'Connor would be that interesting, but I watched it and honestly, like, it's almost like an uncomfortable movie in a way, but I can't stop thinking about it. I could not stop thinking about it for months after, which that's not normal for me unless it's Oppenheimer. But like, it's just like, there's something about that movie and how gritty and like raw it was that like really stuck with me. And I think about that movie quite often. Okay, we're getting into my top 3 now. So number 3, Perfect Days. It's almost a perfect movie. It's basically a perfect movie. I watched it the same day I watched Wildcat. I watched that same day, May 9th, I watched In the Mood for Love for the first time. I watched Perfect Days and I watched Wildcat. What a group of films to be watching. It's a Japanese film and it's just literally about this toilet cleaner in Japan. His life is so simple and yet he seems so content and at peace. And I think it makes you think about like, how much do we really need to be happy? He did not have that many things. He had a roof over his head. He had his books. His life was very simple. And I really appreciate that kind of simplicity, because I think we get caught up in all of this. And it's like, what really matters though? And you know, this, not his daughter, but I think like his niece or something comes and stays with him, and like, it kind of throws off his routine a little bit. You can tell he's not as like on his game. And then, you know, at the end, he's like in the same place, but he's not like, people are like, oh, you just want to do this. And he's not like trying to change. He doesn't need to. Like, he's happy and content in what he has. And it's beautifully shot also. Like, can we just talk about that? Beautifully shot. Again, like, where are the Oscar nominations? Like, I don't understand. Number 2, my number 1 and number 2 are kind of crazy because they're vastly different. Number 2, Dune 2. Dune 2 was my favorite film this year until I saw number 1, or until I saw like the film that's number 1. But I absolutely love Dune 2. I think that every single person on that set came to do their job. Everyone came and put their best foot forward every day. The cinematography is fucking amazing. I wouldn't say the acting is the best, but also for me, like, cinematography is like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but lately I've just been like, the set design, the sounds of the movie, the way it looks on the screen, and just some of the shots in that film are some of the best shots I've ever seen. Love it. Oh, you know what I didn't talk about? Wicked. It's not my favorite film this year, but it's the film of the year. It's not my favorite film, but it's the film of the year. Performances, Cynthia Erivo, how emotional I got when I first saw her perform I'm Not That Girl, because she is that girl. And I did a whole vlog about watching Wicked and how good it was. I went to the sing-along the other night and that was really fun. And like, that is the movie of the year. I don't like, it's the movie of the year. It may not be everybody's best film, like favorite film of the year, but it's breaking a lot of records and it's doing a lot of things. So, movie of the year. My number one film this year, is a film that nobody saw, and that's okay because I saw it, but it's called The Outrun, starring Saoirse Ronan. And it is about Saoirse, or it's based on a memoir. Basically, she's a recovering alcoholic. So she moves to like this like remote place and tries to get herself together. And it is about healing yourself and knowing when you need to take a step back because you need to heal yourself because you are going down a path that is not good and not one that you are proud of. And it shows how lonely healing can be and how emotional and how it goes up and down, how tough and hard it is to make that decision to just sit with yourself for a moment and really try to heal your inner wounds and really reflect and just be okay with the mistakes that you've made and learn to forgive yourself and to revel in like the moments that you have with yourself where you knew you weren't at that moment a year ago, you know, or even 6 months ago. And there's this scene where she is dancing to like, she's just dancing in her where she lives by herself to this like really hard EDM music, and beautiful. I was like, that is peak healing. Dancing alone in your apartment with just no abandon, like just with no care, just full out. And I was like, that is healing. And the movie, that's the movie where I cried from beginning to end. I think it's Saoirse Ronan's best film. I wish more people saw it. I wish she got nominated. I wish she got more praise for it because I think that film is so beautiful. So beautiful. I'm about to cry just thinking about it. I love it. But I actually gotta get out of here because I gotta go watch The Brutalist. But if you made it this far, because it's kind of a long video, I don't know. If you made it this far, thank you. I love you. Thank you so much. And here's to, I just realized this is year 3, going on year 3 of Movie Monday. And it is Movie Monday today. And it's year 3 of dedicating Mondays to watching movies. And it's like, wow, I've done that for like 2 years. I've committed to doing this. And granted, I didn't watch a movie every Monday, but knowing that Mondays are for myself to watch the movies that I want to, it's been very nice and comforting. And then as things have changed, that has stayed consistent. And I really appreciate that. And I'm very happy that that's something that I am afforded because I work in a movie theater. What was your favorite movie of the year? Let me know because I love talking about movies. I'll probably talk about more movies on my channel. Until next time, bye.